Okay, let's start. Okay. Hi everyone. We're so excited to have you here. This is called La Verdad el Café. It's a space that we created for you to come around coffee and speak all the good, bad, truth, and myths around the industry. My name is Maria Palacio, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Progeny Coffee. I'm actually from Colombia, and I'm a fifth-generation Colombian coffee farmer. So everything I'm going to speak to is going to be from a farmer's perspective to bring you into what's actually happening at the source. And let me introduce you to my co-founder.
Hi, my name is John. I'm co-founder and CEO of Progeny Coffee, and I come from Paris.
Yes.
So very different story. I'm as further away from coffee as you can imagine, and I've learned to love and understand the struggle of the industry, and that's what we've built. What we've built today, Progeny. That's why La Verdad the Cafe exists. That's why Beyond Trade exists, and we can't wait to tell you more about it.
Yes. So before we jump in, I would love people to get to know you a little bit because you have a beautiful story, a beautiful family. So tell us a little bit of who you are.
Okay. My grandparents immigrated from North Africa, and I am a second generation French. And they immigrated along with a lot of like factory workers after the Second World War to really try to rebuild the country. And my grandma was a cook, so we have a lot of like food and flavor and a lot of that in our culture. It's very lively. It's like Colombia actually. It's very lively, very much like Colombian culture. And but my grandparents were never wealthy, and so we really come from like poor, and then my father kind of made it break out of that poverty cycle, and so I've had always both the contrast of success and the struggle in a sense.
Yeah.
And so it was a very, I think, beautiful way of empathizing with the struggle, but at the same time knowing that it's possible to succeed.
Yes.
And today what we're trying to do is to really embed that into all of the farmers that are struggling as well.
Exactly. That is beautiful. So going a little bit back in time, back in time.
How back? How much back?
Way,
Way back.
way back. Something that happened was really funny. So we met, and I was sharing with John all about coffee, how, I was born and raised in a coffee farm, how my family has coffee farms in Colombia. And through that conversation, we decided to go and visit Colombia.
That's when I realized we were actually a farmer. For me, it didn't
Exactly.
hit me at the moment.
Yeah, we landed. You're like, oh, you're actually a farmer.
Yes.
It's like, I have been telling you.
It's like, yeah,
Yes, yeah.
real farmer.
Exactly. And to tell you all how far John comes from to today being a Q grader certified, barista certified, and everything. But I remember we go inside to one of the first coffee shops, and there's a there's a painting of these like cherry. Just
I didn't approve
cherries.
us telling the story.
And John looks at it at this painting. He asks, "Are those cherry tomatoes, or where are they?"
Yeah, I was confused why there were cherry tomatoes on the wall of a coffee shop, but
Yes.
that's when I realized that it was actually coffee cherries. And so that tells you like how far I've come
Exactly.
into the coffee industry. And I think I hope this is going to make actually everyone comfortable with not knowing, asking questions.
Exactly.
Because I come from really far. I didn't know where coffee was coming from in terms of, was it a fruit? We never think about this. Like you only think about it as like, I need my espresso shot.
Exactly.
And
Just
so,
as a caffeine provider.
Yeah, like energy drink, right?
Exactly.
But it is true that there is so much to learn, and it's a beautiful industry. But I come from far, and now, yeah, like you said, I'm a Q grader, barista certified. So I've come a long way. That's very true.
Yeah, and so in that trip, something really beautiful happened, which is something that people will call like having their God shot,
Yes.
which is like that cup of coffee that changes your life. And I remember my dad was so proud sharing everything in the farm, taking the tour, and then he's like, "Let me give you a cup of coffee." And so tell us a little bit about that cup of coffee that I know that cup of coffee literally changed the course of your life. Transformed in like literally sense.
I think it did.
Yes.
I remember at the time my life was simple. Like I will drink whatever convenient coffee shop was close by.
Yes.
Whatever coffee chain with tons of sugar and frappuccino and whatever. But only because I didn't know coffee could taste so good.
Yeah.
So when I got that coffee shot it really made me realize how. I remember I couldn't speak because of how it blew my mind. Like at that moment, I realized, oh my gosh, coffee can taste so good by itself.
Yes.
And so why are we putting all this crap in it? Like why are we putting all these add-ons? And so that's when I realized, oh my gosh, like if coffee can taste so good, like we need to share that with the world. Like how come are you guys? I remember I was like, why are you guys keeping this for yourself? Like we need to share
Yeah.
this for the world. And I think at the time specialty coffee was really small. It was like 10 years ago, so
Yeah.
it was growing. It was not too small, but it was growing. I think, but it wasn't what it is today. And I think
Yeah.
today there is a lot of fantastic coffee shop with fantastic coffee selection, but ultimately it was really a moment of realization for me that there is more to coffee than just the energy, the energy
Exactly.
drink.
Yeah.
There is more to coffee than adding sugar to it. And you can, if you want to, you can put milk, you can do whatever you want. But I think it's very important. And I think the way we're trying to build, like our first coffee shop that we're building right now, is going to be around making sure that every single person at least has a chance to get that gut shot at our cafe.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I think I'm going through the story,
Yeah.
we went back to
And I
no,
think you love to for me to tell those stories because I come from far.
yes,
Yes.
exactly.
I feel like I'm being
'Cause
interviewed right now.
no, it's just that for me that cup of coffee was an everyday cup of coffee. Like I
Yeah.
remember at the farm when you drink so many, but
Yeah.
I didn't have that other journey of not knowing, but I just didn't know the value we had.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was just like, you know, the coffee of the farm. I had
Yeah.
no idea the value. And so it always amazed me to see your experience and how it sparks so
I
much.
think about this every day,
Yeah.
very much.
And one of the things that for us was really key is that we came back from that trip and we start speaking about coffee and you're like, well, we need to share with these, we need to share these. And there's where we start understanding. We were researching for 4 years. And one of the things that for me was really impactful is like, wow, coffee is the second most consumed beverage in the world.
I think it's the first one in US now, even above water.
Yes, this year
I
was the
think I
first most
think I saw
consumed.
that somewhere. I need
Like
to
after
don't take my word
water.
for it, but I think I saw that
Yes.
somewhere.
And people are willing to pay more for their cup of coffee. They're drinking
Yeah.
more cups per day, and so it's a very profitable and fast-growing market.
And yet
Um,
farmers are struggling.
Exactly, and so
Makes no
then
sense.
we'll go back to Colombia, and that's not our reality as farmers. It's like the market just going like speed up, like they say hockey stick, and we're like hockey stick but the other way down. And
And
so
that blows my mind. Like how like I've with so many trips now under my belt,
yeah,
right in Colombia, seeing how their kitchen, how they eat, like they don't have floors. Sometimes they don't even have a roof. It still blows my mind today that this is something we accept, right? Like
yeah,
to be part of something so broken.
exactly.
But there is so much we can do so much better today. And I think with what we're going to share, I think it is going to be very interesting to see what the changes that happens in the industry.
Exactly. And so, yeah, so for us was amazed how we started that journey of 4 years of really understanding and trying to discover what was happening. Because
Yeah.
during that time, I remember my dad was losing his farm.
Yes.
And we have been in the coffee industry for generations, and it was hitting us personally, that journey of just not being profitable. And why it was not being profitable. It was not because the people here were not paying, because we're paying on the other side 5+ cup of coffee. But where was that $5 going? Because it's definitely not trickling to us.
No.
And so we actually discovered something pretty interesting.
Yeah. And so today, you know, normal coffee chain, and you can search coffee supply chain on Google
Yeah.
Images, and you're gonna see it. There is about 10 steps, right? And it can be like a little more or less, but there is on average
Exactly.
10 steps. And the issue with that is that each steps each step is a business. Each step is a business that that's looking obviously to make money, a for-profit business. But then with 10 steps, even if you pay $1 more per cup or 50 cents more per cup, that money will never be seen by the farmer because
Yeah.
there is 9 people before the farmers,
Exactly.
10 people before the farmers that are going to chip away that revenue, and then there will be nothing left to the farmer.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't matter how much you pay your coffee, the farmers will never see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the
And
biggest issue.
and it's very true right now. And going back a little bit in time, and I was remembering this used to not be the case. Like it's not that this industry was born this way. Because if I go back to my grandpa, there was something that we call la bonanza cafetera, which is where coffee was just in such abundance, and there was a price set worldwide. And so those who were wealthy owned farmers, and coffee was meant, it created wealthy families because it was profitable. And it was through history that the World Coffee Pack breaks, and then the coffee price goes into the stock market. And suddenly from a day to another, where there was a set price in the world that actually was profitable for the farmers, then we ended up in this roller coaster of the stock market where the price could go up, it could go down, completely unrelated on the cost of
Yeah.
production for us. And so it has been really heartbreaking to see that transition and how deep the poverty cycles are ingrained into our society. Something that has been our inheritance as Colombians, that we're so proud of the Colombian coffee.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
what do you think is the solution for that? What's the ideal solution for something like this? Because it's hard when the world is buying at the coffee market price. Like, what do you think is the solution for that?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Definitely, we have been working for so long on
Yeah.
this one, but one of the biggest things, I think you need to divide in multiple, just you need to see it from different places. And one, of course, is the price. It cannot be in the stock market. It needs to go back to how it was before, because it cannot be that today is high, tomorrow is low, and then therefore we're constantly around producing around 15% below margin. And so it just put us at deficit. The other thing that we were looking at was the deep poverty loops that it's creating. And these just create a lot of social issues. It also pushes the way we do farming, how unsustainable it becomes. And so we realized that there was a lot of middlemen in
Yeah.
between. There's a pricing that is not set. And then we have social issues because of how things have been for all these years. And so how do you
Yeah, the
solve
mass production, like they were talking about mass production. I remember.
exactly?
Yeah, yeah.
And so how do you solve all of these? And I think we came up with a very interesting solution, very simple, which is called Beyond Trade. And our whole thing is Beyond Trade just means going beyond sourcing,
Yeah.
beyond fair trade, beyond direct trade, and really focusing on the deep issues, the root cause issues, and how do we solve them. And so to answer your question, I think the moment we go as direct, the moment that we focus at the farm level, and the moment we control the pricing, therefore we're able to provide a system and a platform for the farmers to thrive.
Yeah, because the reality is that this platform, and it's just a middleman free platform. And so of course you need a boat
Yeah,
pilot, right? Like we're not moving boat containers, but the reality is that we know how much we can sell the coffee, so we
exactly.
know how much we can buy it.
Yeah,
And I think just that simple idea is very powerful, because we could say, well, we don't have any middlemen, so we take all of that extra income
yeah,
for us. But in reality, what we do is that we take that extra income, pay the farmers up to 250% above fair trade price, and we use even some of that extra income generated to really support them, educate them, help them increase the quality of their coffee. Because we tell them, like, if you increase the quality of your coffee, we're gonna pay more. We pay more per score. We have 2 curators in house. We also use external parties to rate the coffees,
exactly.
and with that we assess a price per score. And so with that we can really help them thrive, and
Exactly.
also build a sustainable business for themselves.
Exactly.
But you need to be able to control both, and I think you need to be always, like we have in one of our values in our company, unreasonably hard driven.
Yes.
And that's, I think, what really Beyond Trade represents for us.
Yeah. And I think what we see a lot is a lot of people stopping at well sourcing,
Yes.
which is not bad. I think that's the first step, right? How do you do
That's a
well
third
sourcing?
wave type of mindset, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Where you source really good coffee from great farmers, you ensure they're doing everything right, but that kind of eliminates most of the farmers and all those who are struggling.
So
Is it, yeah,
yeah, so I want to touch about it because I think it's a very interesting idea, right? Well
yes,
sourcing, like what does it mean? Is it well
exactly,
sourcing to farmers that need it, or well sourcing on quality? And I
exactly,
think I really think every single waves, like we talk about first wave coffee, second wave coffee, third wave coffee, they all use their own purpose
yes,
in getting to, honestly, in giving us the opportunity to what I think we're building, which is the fourth wave coffee. We're not the only one. There is, like, for me, the fourth wave is an impact driven wave. Like, it's like,
exactly,
of course you have quality now, but what can we do better is impact, right?
exactly,
And we see it with this new generation. I have younger sisters and how they speak about impact, sustainability,
yeah,
and all that. Even my younger cousins, it's incredible how this is like, of course, like we're gonna fix the world, and so I think that's really the goal for me of the fourth wave. And anyone that claimed to be part of the fourth wave, they
yeah,
have to have an impact component. But this idea of well sourcing is what really gave us that opportunity today.
exactly,
But I think from us, we go beyond, right? Beyond trade. We
exactly,
go beyond sourcing coffees from successful farmers, like you said, and we go to farmers that are struggling and help them being successful to potentially have someone well sourced from them.
exactly.
If we get there, it's a success.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you see that, that wave that was about sugary drinks, and it was a hype, which it did brought, kind of coffee in that mainstream, and that, that whole idea. And then you have the third wave where, like you said, it's like you have better sourcing, that they're striving for like that perfect cup of
Yeah.
coffee, for like there's that, like, oh my gosh, coffee could taste so good. But now I think, like you said, the fourth wave is now, well, what are we going to do about the farmers? Like, if we don't care about the farmers, we won't have coffee. What we're seeing at the source level is, at the origin level, is that the young generation are leaving the farmers. They're not staying.
Yeah.
People are selling and selling more their farms, and so there's already a study that there's going to be a shortage of coffee in
Yeah.
the world, also for climate change. I mean, I left farming because I thought there was not going
Exactly.
to be any future for me. As
Yeah.
when I graduated from school, I was like, why would I stay here? Like, we're losing money. This is not profitable. Like, it's just insane to stay here. But then seeing the other way and be like, wow, this is actually a very profitable business. It's just that we haven't had a hold on it as a farming,
You're
or
being
we have
taken
been sheltered.
advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just really mind blowing and eye opening. So much so that we both left our careers.
Yes. That's so
And
true.
what we thought was our
You were in
dreams.
fashion, I was
Oh,
in tech, everything
exactly.
was
And we
fun.
just
It was
like
like,
went back
no.
to my family business. We
Yes.
continue our inheritance from a different perspective and
Honestly,
angle.
honestly, if you would have told me that I will be working in coffee in the future, I would have been like,
Like, no
no
way.
way.
Yes.
Like,
I know. I'm pretty sure all my friends, they are very surprised. Because I was that one that's like, I will not say I will leave or find a different future, because there's no future here.
that is true.
But one of the things, I think, in that well sourcing mentality, and I think you touched a little bit, is how we now need to really focus with the farmers,
Yeah.
and how we need to stop just sourcing based on certifications, because
Yes.
those who actually got to certification, they're a little bit step ahead, and there's is really few. But how do we get to those who are unrepresented? They're sheltered, they're up in the mountains. The best coffee grows up in the mountains, which is, they're not there's not a lot of information coming to them. And how do we get deep into those communities and start breaking those poverty cycles, to be able to bring them forward as well?
So I think from a certification perspective, I think there is something that's very important to realize is that without saying names, really, most of those trustworthy certification are very costly
Yeah,
for the farmers.
exactly. Yeah, it costs us money. It's
Yeah.
like we're producing below margin, and then we need to pay for certifications. And it's like, but yeah, we don't get well paid still.
Yeah. And so exactly, and so then it creates this loop of like I have to do more to be paid more, right?
Yeah,
We are not really, right?
exactly.
And yet it costs me money to get certified when I'm
Exactly.
actually not really getting more, when I could just not get it. and send my coffee to the cooperative,
Which at the same you'll be sending.
and you will be making like sometimes even more money than some of the floor pricing, which became the ceiling pricing that are given today.
Yeah.
But I've heard recently, and I think I saw that on Daily Coffee News, that those certifications, the biggest one, are trying to really, and they're understanding that it's not
Yes.
working, and they are trying to really fix
Exactly.
the issue.
Now, let me ask you a question. And we get a lot of, many times this question. Does quality happens
Ooh.
at the roasting level, at the barista level, or at the farmer level?
I think, yeah, it's a
Because
great
there's
question.
a misconception, like 99% of the people I speak here and consumers, that for them it happened at the roasting level.
And it's fair. I think it's fair. I think it goes along with third wave coffee type of culture,
Yeah.
which I'm not criticizing at all. I think it was a very important step to really making people realize the quality of coffee and what it could taste like without anything. But the reality is that the farmer creates the quality. Point. End of story.
Exactly.
Every step after that, the job of everyone after that, packing the boat, the roaster, the
Yes.
barista, the job is not to mess up the quality that the farmer has created.
Exactly.
And so there is some very sometimes strict programs for becoming a roaster or a barista that really help you understand the coffee, the science behind it, to be able to really either protect or highlight that quality,
Exactly.
but there is no quality created on the roasting. Like roasting takes 12 minutes.
Exactly.
Brewing takes on average 5 minutes if you do a pour over,
Yes.
right? And maybe less sometimes. It
Yeah.
depends of the coffee. But
Same
growing the
espresso.
coffee, the first plant takes 3 years,
Exactly.
right? And you can only crop. You only have once or twice a crop a year. But the work that's been put in the land, and that's what we're teaching our farmers, like how do you treat the land, how do you work with the trees, what other trees do you put inside the land to really make the land fertile, the plant around it, the bees,
Yes.
all of it is basically what Daniel, your brother, is doing at the source. He's
Yeah.
also a fifth generation coffee farmer and very passionate about coffee and a real farmer at
Yeah.
its core. But the goal for us is to have really a love for the farmers that help us create some of the highest quality along with the impact.
Yes. Yeah, I know everybody gets mind blown when I'm like, no, at the roasting level you enhance. You're creating that potential for the for the bean or the cup of coffee if you're a barista. But
There is an image that always comes to mind when we talk about that is you're like in a dark room. There is things in that room that you can't see,
yeah.
but to be able to see them, you just turn on a lamp torch, right, like a
Yeah.
light, and then you can see them. That's the job of the barista. That's the job of the roaster to
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
the treasure
Like,
inside the bean when they roast it.
yes, like what are those notes that are hidden in that bean, and like
exactly.
you could bring out and play with when you're roasting. And that's what I love of what we're doing in Colombia at the source with our innovation lab and farm, that we dedicated a whole farm just for innovation and regenerative agriculture and so on. And it's just fascinated everything that we are doing right now. I mean, as an industry in Colombia, in our area, and what we're pushing as well to create really incredible cup of coffee,
Yeah.
and also create more resilience farm. I remember reading these. There was a movement like against coffee farming because of how much water you use and how much it's bad for could be bad for the environment or whatever it will be.
And it's true. It's true if you do only wash coffee, for example.
Exactly.
But there are methods that you can recycle the water that we're developing. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, totally. I see where you're going
Exactly.
with that.
Yes. And so, but what about the farmers? What about we teach them a better way?
Exactly.
And then what about we pay them fairly so they could actually have the money to do sustainable farming? Or what about we bring in that education?
Yeah.
And so with this, we took, what was it like? We have been like 6 years on this innovation farm or more.
6 years? Oh my gosh, that
Yeah, and it
went
has
so
been,
fast.
I know, right?
Yeah, because it took 3 years to grow the first trees.
Yes.
And now we have our trees and we're planting more trees in the farm.
Exactly. And it just shows that that's not true. It just is how you do it, and all the incredible methods that you could do to we were able to reduce 90%, like you said, of water consumption, whole reforestation, rebuilding like the soils, and the
Yeah.
amazing results that I'm really excited that soon we'll have Daniel here, who's going to share
Yes.
more about that. Now, another question which I know people that are listening might want to hear.
Okay.
If you go to a store
Mhm.
or a coffee shop,
Mhm.
and you see coffees that are oily or dark shiny,
Run.
will you drink
Run.
them or will you not drink? What is your take as a Q grader and certified barista?
Now, let me give you my take as a human being
As a
first.
human being, yeah.
Just the taste of it, like the
Oh my
taste, the
gosh.
burnt taste,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
just for that run.
Yeah.
And then there's another more industry level, right? What's happening when it's oily? Like if you look at the beans that we have there, or many specialty coffee shops,
Yeah.
honestly, if not all, when you look at a non-specialty coffee shop and you see oily beans, what's happening is that
You squeeze the life out of it.
yeah, exactly. Squeeze the life out of it. That's it. You said it for me. I don't know what else to add to this. But this is exactly what's happening. It's like it got so burned that all the life came out of
Came
it.
out,
You
it's like-
know, that's exactly it's like, how can this taste, in any way?
Yeah.
Like if you take a Wagyu steak or you take a very low end, dirty, even old steak that rotten and you burn them, they're going to taste the same.
Exactly.
And so that's basically what's happening is that
Yeah.
they usually buy very low quality beans
Exactly.
and they burn it, and it allows them to hide the defects, to hide the lack of moisture, the lack of flavor, and they sell it as like sometimes some brands are really selling this as like dark roast,
Yeah,
French roast.
something you should be drinking.
Yeah, and
and
it's like I honestly I can't. I mean, I'm sure if we do some research about anything burned,
Yeah.
it can be good for you.
exactly.
No, I think I think it can be awesome to power a very old train,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's awesome to power you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. We get a lot of people like, I just want it dark and like it's not. And there's the
If you like it, it's great,
Yeah,
but
there's that misconception that that boldness should come from the roast level,
Yeah.
where first when you see dark roast, very dark roast, you won't be able to taste any chemicals. You won't be able to taste any damages, molds, or anything. You're just burning. So you're masking all the bad things.
Yeah.
And so that's why the always low quality coffee, it's overburned, because you just have the, all the chemicals or the molds and everything in
Yeah.
it. And so no wonder why people will be like, oh, it gives me headaches, or give me gastritis, or give me all of these. It's just like, well, I cannot even tell you what you're drinking,
Yeah.
because I show you a picture and we
Yeah.
actually went and we saw how it looks like. If you will see how it looks like, even you wouldn't even drink it.
I keep telling people like when they say, I don't like coffee, it's like you have never drink coffee, really.
Yeah.
And I know it, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked about this. Like I thought I knew coffee,
Yeah.
and so I will add tons of sugar to it, or get frappuccino with
Exactly.
sugar and vanilla
Yeah. You're just
and
trying
sparkles.
to not taste it like coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I'm only drinking coffee as an energy drink,
Exactly.
right? Like I used to,
Yeah.
and so I do tell to those people, it's like
Yeah.
you never tried coffee, and it's not something you can only get with us.
Yeah.
Like I think the specialty, the third wave, has really done a great job in highlighting this,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm really respectful of the third wave for that.
You just made me remember a childhood memory.
Okay, go for
It
it.
was the first time I came with my dad to
We're
the
going
US.
rogue.
Yes, we're going super rogue. It was the first time I came with my dad to the US. And it was the first time we found a frappuccino. And I literally remember, I don't know why this came just when we were both coffee farmers in the US, and we're like, but this is like an ice cream. Like,
Yes.
I just have it, like I remember,
candies.
and we both were drinking frappuccino. We're like trying to understand what was the coffee in it. But anyways, that's like a
That's
side
so
story.
funny.
But it just hit me, that child memory.
Yeah.
But going back to what we were
That's so
talking,
funny.
I think in that journey, we also, when we started Progeny Coffee, and we were talking about you need to have an espresso, and people were pushing us like espresso needs to be a blend, it needs to be dark roast because it needs to sustain, and we're like, no, it needs to be.
Yeah, some people cannot believe that you can have espresso without
Exactly.
blend.
We
Yeah.
have actually conversations and discussions with people. It's like, I promise you, put that coffee in your grinder and you're gonna pull an
I think
amazing,
it's that one.
yeah, this one alegria.
Yeah.
You pull up a great espresso shot, and that just, and we tell them it's like the boldness of the coffee should come from the
The
source,
nuttiness,
the
the chocolate
nuttiness, how the
notes, the
farmer
yes.
did it. It should not come from the roast level. Yes, the roast level give that punchiness, kind of like, when you're cooking something, but the boldness and that, that strength. And
Comes from
so,
the flavor. But let me add to that for
yes.
1 second, because I think there is that idea that espresso should taste very nutty, very chocolatey. But I have had very floral
Yes, lately. Oh
and
my
very
goodness.
sweet
Amazing.
espressos
Yeah, we have it here. Yeah.
right here
Behind you. Yeah.
behind the camera. That for
Oh,
me it's like
amazing.
this is incredible. Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh my, like
You could just
I
enjoy it.
I know, and one of them that we have here, I think we're almost out.
Yeah.
Just tastes like a cookie,
Yes.
like a chocolate cookie.
It's so good.
It's just
Yeah,
and
so
it's like
juicy.
I want to eat it. I wish I could eat it.
Yeah. I know there's
Um,
some cups I just want to hug them.
Yeah.
But they're just so good.
But and so I think that's the beauty
Yeah.
of. I think third wave is still going to exist for a long time, but that's the beauty of what this is creating. Is
Yeah.
even still today, we've been in this business for like 10 years, right? Our
Yeah.
company exists in 7 years, but still today we're able to experience new flavors,
Yeah.
like to discover new things.
Exactly.
And now it's just a matter of like turning all of these opportunities into
Yes.
something that does good to the world, right?
Exactly. And so, as we're wrapping up, what would you want everybody to take out?
I think it's important to, and I'm speaking only from the non-farmer
Perspective.
Parisian
Yeah.
lens. Okay, I think it's important to understand that there is more to coffee than what we know.
Exactly.
Much more.
Or just tapping the surface.
Yeah, and I think there is many companies that are trying to do better in quality, trying to do better in sustainability. But it's important to really pay attention beyond the seals, beyond the certifications, beyond the all of those marketing tools that make it so it's overpriced, but yet that money never goes back to the farmers,
Exactly.
right? And taking that in consideration, I think then there is the question, okay, what is the solution,
Yeah.
right? And for me, the solution is do your research.
Exactly.
Do your research. Try to really dig deep into what those companies are doing.
Yeah.
Don't get stopped at,
obvious.
this is something
Yeah.
trade, like this is whatever. Go beyond,
Exactly.
because even those industries, even those companies are realizing that they could do better.
Exactly.
And so the least we can do is do our research.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's understanding that your purchase has power. Wherever you put your money, you're voting.
Yes.
So you have a choice to vote on a poverty cycle or empower a whole community. And so just being mindful about that.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you for this time, for being here with us, and we hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, please write to us. If comments, topics, we want this to be your space.
Yeah.
And we'll be having incredible people here, our teams from the source, our coffee director,
Farmers.
and just tackling this conversation from so many perspectives. We really believe that a diverse mindset.
Diverse mindset, yes.
Yes.
It's one of our values.
Yes, it's
like
one
we makes for impact.
We
and
make
so,
an impact, exactly. And so we hope you stay tuned. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Leave your comments. Tell us what you want us to talk about. We know now, I know more about coffee than I ever knew before.
Yeah.
And I'm learning every day. So don't feel bad about asking the most basic questions to us. We'll be happy to respond and potentially create another video on it.
Exactly. I'm still
Yeah.
learning as well.
Me too.
every
We're
day.
all learning.
Yeah.
It's such a deep industry.
Oh my God. Yes. You
And
go
you-
in and then it's like, wow.
Yeah, anyway, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And we hope you have a great day.
Bye.